Good morning, everyone. How you doing today? So, as I shared in my daily financial update, I wanted to take a look at this Medicare for all, topic that's really gaining a lot of attention, at least in the news media. Again, I saw in reference to a CNBC article that it could cost anywhere from 33 to 50 trillion dollars, and that number frankly shocked me, and I wanted to take a look at it. So, before I dive into the article and kind of the numbers behind it. I just wanted to be very clear from an individual personal perspective, Medicare for all would be awesome because I spend currently about $26,000 a year on health insurance. I am paying for platinum coverage or whatever that is. So I'm paying a pretty penny. And if Medicare for all came around, I would pay nothing. Because I'm not an employee, so the payroll tax wouldn't hit me. I'm not a billionaire. I'm not, anything close to that. So Medicare for all for me as an individual and my family would be awesome. As you'll see in a minute, lots of other people will be impacted differently. I'm not going to say negative or positive, but differently. But again, as an individual, Medicare for all would be fantastic. I would save $25,000 a year, at least, if not 26. And I just wanted that out there before I kind of bring up this article and kind of the numbers. This was taken from the New York Times from Elizabeth Warren. So let's just share this and kind of go through it point by point because there's so much there that we should be talking about. Because when topics look good on the surface, I think it is something that we should all talk about from a numbers perspective, because as Americans, we shouldn't just buy on headlines. We should dig into the numbers and see what's what. So again, I think Medicare for all sounds great. And again, individually, I would welcome it as I would save a lot of money. But when I hear $33 trillion or $50 trillion and we have a national debt of this and, all those other things, I just wonder who's going to pay for it. So I took an article from someone from the New York Times. This is directly from Elizabeth Warren, who seems to be getting a lot of the attention of late. This article, you can find it yourself. You can see I just cut and paste from it. New York Times, November 1st, title Elizabeth Warren's Medicare for All Math. And the authors were Margot Sanger-Katz and Sarah Cliff. Try to give full rights to the people who authored this, because again, I cut and paste and then we'll give my commentary through several of the bullets. So one of the keys that I took early in the article is and that's in this case Elizabeth Warren, thinks a single payer healthcare system can save more than other analysts think. I don't know. I read that and I think, wow, that's kind of arrogant. Sure, she has a background as a attorney, I believe, and clearly been in the game a while. But to think you're smarter than the analysts putting together the metrics, and to substantially think you're smarter, and to artificially play with the numbers to make you look better seems like a roll of the dice to me. It seems arrogant, seems foolhardy. And again, I'm someone who would like the Medicare for all because it would save me personally a lot of money, but I'm an American and I just think it's arrogant when the people proposing these things go, oh, no, you experts are wrong. I'm smarter than you. Here's the real math. That's what I take from that point. She would eliminate most forms of coverage, including private insurance, and provide all Americans with generous government-run plan. Again, I love everything in that statement. Again, as an individual, I do get a little nervous when I hear government-run plan, but hey, it's free, so you probably get what you pay for, is my guess. I do think losing the option for private insurance is a mistake, right? If you give everybody government-run insurance, but they want to pay something extra, shouldn't that be okay? I'm not saying I would do it, but I'm just saying if you have the means and you want to get, I don't know, access to your own private physicians or something, shouldn't you be able to have your own private insurance? Why is that not okay? But again, sounds good by me. Saves me a lot of money. So to pay for it, she has proposed large new taxes. That scares me. Transfer payments, not sure what that is. And some cuts to government spending. Wow. Every time I hear a politician talk about cutting government spending, I laugh. I've been hearing that since I was 18 years old and old enough to vote, and I'm not sure it ever happened. But I get it. So let's see what this is all about. The Warren plan includes several key assumptions, including starkly lower prescription drug prices. Last time I checked, prescription drugs are produced by independent companies, supply demand. Is she going to come in now and force the government to develop drugs? I'm not really sure how you can assume lower prescription drug prices unless you're going to. I don't know. Maybe if you're the only buyer in town, maybe that makes sense. Maybe if you own the insurance, you're kind of a monopoly, I guess. And maybe the suppliers of drugs, prescription drugs, have to pay what you'll pay. Maybe. I guess that makes sense. Kind of weird logic, but at least I get that one. Minimal administration spending. I'm sorry, I have to laugh at that. This is our government here, and there's everything done in triplicate and quadruple, and they pay $50 for a hammer. And really, we're going to say minimal administrative spending? That's a foolish statement, frankly. And healthcare costs that grow at significantly slower paces. Again, do we not pay attention? The baby boomers are getting older and they're living longer, and we suddenly think they're going to get healthy or something. I mean, really? Do we really think that? And again, I'm for the plan. This is why this is so funny to me. The whole point of this analysis, which took weeks and was done with real discipline, was to come up with what's realistic. So this was from the people who produced the plan that Ms. Warren disagreed with. Again, just cut and paste from the New York Times article. Look it up for yourself. So first off, changes the way Medicare pays for certain types of hospital stays, such as paying a package rate rather than different fees for surgical services and doctors and hospital-owned practices. The lower prices paid for these services in private practices. Basically, well, I think she's saying much like prescription drugs, as if you're the only game in town, you can dictate prices. Which again, I guess I could see how you could. I see how you can tick and tie those numbers. I'm shocked that that's 2.3 trillion. I'm assuming that's over the same time period of 10 years, so that makes sense, I guess. But that's interesting. Assume that Medicare for All program itself can be operated very leanly. Oh, come on. Really? We think anything the government does is lean? That's just foolish. The Urban Institute of estimate that Medicare would devote about 6% of its health budget on administration to decide what and how Medicare would pay for things and prevent fraud. In Ms. Warren's plan, that rate is 2.3%. So again, the experts that produced the article said it's probably administration of 6%. And she says, to make her math works, no, we're going to do better than that by 50% or greater. We're going to save $1.8 trillion over a decade because we're going to operate a government-run agency leanly. Anybody see a problem with that? Assume very aggressive drug discounts. Ms. Warren believes a government system will be able to reduce spending on drugs substantially, including lowering the price of brand prescription drugs by 70%. Again, I question this, but again, if you're the only buyer, I guess you can dictate prices. I do wonder if you are lowering prices that much, how much investment goes into the next drugs, because as we hopefully all know that drug companies are for profit, they're trying to make money. And part of what they do is invest for cures in the future. If you're going to slash their top line revenue by 60%, they do have to lower their expenses. And that probably comes at a cost. So I think it's cute to talk about this, but there's kind of another shoe to drop, if you will, if you cut somebody's revenue by 70%. Assume slower growth in healthcare spending over time. The federal government now thinks health spending will increase by 5.5% a year. Ms. Warren thinks 3.9% under Medicare for All, closer to the rate of growth of GDP. Okay. an assumption is an assumption, right? You make an ass out of you and me. Uh, Again, I would argue that baby boomers are getting older and living longer. And historically speaking, older people spend more on healthcare. I think that's a fact, but maybe it's not a fact to her. I don't know. Assume lower payments to hospitals. The campaign believes hospitals can be paid around 110% of what they are currently paid by Medicare, a number that would cause some hospitals to operate at a loss. Currently, private health insurance often pay a lot more to hospitals than Medicare for similar procedures. Okay, so what we're saying is hospitals are going to be run at a loss. Does anybody think these hospitals won't eventually shut down? Seriously, I mean, that's a real question. What happens if hospitals run at a loss? They shut down. And then where do we go? I don't get it. I mean, I just don't get it. Employers would be required to pay fees to the federal government equivalent to 98% of what they spend on their employees' healthcare. Some companies would be exempt, and companies with unionized workers would be able to lower this payment if they increase worker wages. Currently, companies vary greatly in the cost and generosity of healthcare benefits, so this fee would vary substantially by firm. Okay, so basically you're taking dollars out of one pocket and putting it in others. Makes sense. Where I see a problem with this is it opens it up to game the system. And what I really see in this logic is she's going to be picking winners and losers. She's going to have companies and industries that she favors, and then companies that she sticks it to. She's already come out heavily against the financial and Wall Street. She thinks they're crooks, which I think is a horrible thing to say, but she says. And it's wow, it's just interesting. But yeah, I guess I get this one. Yeah, if you're already spending the dollar and you just take it out of here and put it there, that makes sense to me. State and local governments would be required to make payments to federal government similar to what they currently spend in government employee benefits and their share of Medicare expenses. Again, that kind of makes sense to me, right? Again, you're taking dollar here and putting dollar there. I guess this is what she meant by transfer payments. I'm guessing. I have no idea. But this makes sense to me. I get that. Corporate taxation would be increased to 2.9 trillion or by 2.9 trillion. Okay, that's kind of a bold statement. Taxation is a cost. So with more cost comes a smaller profit and maybe some smaller growth. It wasn't really clear to me where this taxation would come from, but okay. Maybe you're going to close loopholes, maybe is what she's saying. I get that one. That makes sense. Tax collections would increase through improvements to the IRS enforcement, with Morin believes could raise a lot of money. Well, as a taxpayer, why don't we do this anyways? If the IRS is so inefficient, why do we have to have Medicare for all to do this? Can't we do this anyway? It sounds like a good idea. Why does it have to be tied to Medicare for all? We should do this anyway, right? At least that's what I think. The top 1% of individual earners would pay new taxes on their capital gains. They would pay taxes on increase of investment value annually instead of waiting until the assets are sold. Wow. There's so much in that statement that has unintended consequences you can't believe. So, first off, if you're a 1% individual earner, what is to stop you from relocating? A. 2, you're going to be paying taxes on capital gains every year of the investment value. A lot of these people have assets that aren't that liquid, and you can't sell portions of it. So there will be some people that go bankrupt from this. It's a cute idea, and maybe what you can do is you could escrow it or something. But if you're into an asset for a decade and it's not liquid, how do you sell off some square footage or some thing? And then who gets to say what the value is? I can say the value is X and you can say the value is Y. Is there going to be a whole nother agency to value stuff? I don't get it. It's a great idea. It's really cute. But I just see waste and loopholes and stuff in this I just don't understand. Income tax collections would increase since workers would no longer pay part of their salaries for insurance premiums How cute is this? So I remember somewhere saying the middle class will not pay any more taxes. Well, guess what? You've got to pay more taxes. So basically what it's saying today is, I think what it's saying is today, if you have uh, employer-based health insurance, that is a benefit that you're not taxed on. But since you're not paying for that in the future, your wages will go up, is what I think it says. And, oh, by the way, surprise, surprise, you're taxed more. Interesting. And the other loophole in this is some of you won't see the raise in wages because insurance is expensive. Like, again, for me, I'm spending almost $26,000 a year. Do you think your salary is going to go up 26 grand? No, maybe it goes up 10, but you're going to pay taxes on that. So it's just these assumptions from politicians on both sides are crazy. Again, I don't like either side, but man, come on. These assumptions are silly. Billionaires would pay a higher wealth tax than the rate Ms. Warren has previously proposed. So no longer is she saying 2% or 3%. Now she's like, let's stick it to them. Let's hit them for 6%. And again, what is to stop a billionaire from going, I don't want to play here anymore. I'm going to move my residency to the Caribbean. We just had somebody in the executive branch change his location from New York to Florida. Anybody think that has anything to do with taxes? What's to stop a billionaire from saying, you know what? I'm now going to call my domicile Canada or the Caribbean or Europe, or I just don't get it. You're going to try to tax somebody and they're not going to show up. It's just, I don't get it. Here's one, a new financial transaction that tax would impose on stock trades. Congratulations, everybody. Charles Schwab and all these other people have made trading stocks free, $0 trades. Oh, no more. Sorry. Now you're going to get taxed. So, just this year, we're celebrating more and more people having access to stocks. Nope. Now you're going to be taxed on stock trades. Wow. Pentagon spending from overseas contingency fund, often criticized as a slush fund, would be eliminated. Again, I go back to the IRS statement. If there's truly $800 billion sitting in a slush fund, can't we just close it today? Let's close it today. We have a huge deficit, people. Close it today. Put that $800 billion back in our kitty and help us pay off some of this trillions of dollars in debt. Why? Close it. If it's such a good idea, just close it now. Why wait? Income earned by immigrants following the passage of her immigration overhaul plan would provide new tax revenues. Man, so I guess I have to go figure out what her immigration plan is. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure how easy or not that will be to pass, because again, I haven't read it. But she thinks there's $400 billion in tax revenue there. Okay, sure. I don't know anything about her plan. So, but it sounds like we have more employees, and more employees equal more taxes. So I guess I get that. A risk fee on the liabilities of banks with more than $50 billion in assets would be introduced. So we're adding more costs, and we're artificially setting $50 billion. So one way around this is to have lots of little banks. You could do that, right? Maybe an umbrella company or something above it. So I don't know. All these things seem to be full of holes. So again, let me say this one more time. I personally would benefit from Medicare for all individually. I think as an American and somebody who looks at the overall system, that it would be a drag on our economy. I think there's lots of unintended consequences. I think there are so many rosy and perfect assumptions that could go right, but also could go wrong, that this would be interesting. So I think we should really look at this thing and see if we could afford it. The other thing to do is maybe there's steps to get there. Maybe it's not this whole, let's throw the system up and just get a new one. Maybe there's ways to get there. I don't know. But again, when I saw $33 trillion to $50 trillion over a decade, I had to look at it. I tried to take the most independent article I could find, which was the New York Times. I tried to take quotes directly from Elizabeth Warren and herself or her staff, which were in the article, which you can read and see that I just cut and paste. So in the end, that's what I saw. It's kind of scary to me. Again, individually, I welcome it, but I don't think it's good for America. So at the end, let me know what you think. Leave comments below. Thanks.